The Galactic Council station floated in the darkness of space like a city made of light. It was home to 47 different species, each one proud, each one armed, and each one watching as the human ship docked at Port 7. High Counselor Brell stood behind the glass of the observation deck. His insect-like eyes followed the airlock as it opened. He had read the reports about humans. A young species. Soft bodies. No claws, no venom, no natural armor. They came from a planet called Earth, a place the Council scientists had labeled a death world because of its violent weather, dangerous animals, and toxic plants. How such weak creatures survived, there was a mystery. The airlock hissed open, and 4 humans stepped out. Ambassador Hana walked in front. She was a small woman with black hair pulled back in a neat style. Her face was calm, her steps confident. Behind her walked 3 guards, 2 men and 1 woman. They wore simple gray uniforms with no decorations. Their hands hung loose at their sides. Brell leaned forward. Something was wrong. Every diplomatic team that came to the station brought weapons. The Vorn carried plasma rifles. The Keth had poison blades hidden in their scales. Even the peaceful Myra came with energy shields and stun devices. But these humans carried nothing. Their belts were empty. Their uniforms had no hidden pockets. They walked into the most dangerous political arena in the galaxy with nothing but their bodies. "Run the scan again," Brell ordered. Kira, his security analyst, pressed the controls. The scanning beam passed over the humans once, twice, 3 times. The results were the same each time. "Nothing, High Counselor," Kira said. Her voice was confused. "No weapons of any kind. No blades, no energy devices, no chemical compounds. They are completely unarmed." Brell's wings twitched in agitation. "That is impossible. No species sends their ambassador without protection." Delegate Tarn stepped up beside him. Tarn was tall and covered in thick gray scales. He was the Council's military advisor, and he had fought in 12 wars. He looked at the humans with open disgust. "They are either very stupid or very arrogant," Tarn said. "Perhaps both. They do not understand how dangerous this station can be." Brell said nothing. He watched the lead guard, a man called Junho, according to the manifest. The human moved with an easy grace that seemed almost lazy. His eyes, however, were not lazy at all. They moved constantly, checking corners, watching doorways, noting every guard and every camera in the arrival hall. It was the gaze of a hunter, not prey. Down in the arrival hall, the welcoming committee approached the humans. Ambassador Veth, a nervous reptilian diplomat, extended his clawed hand in the human greeting style he had practiced. "Welcome to the Galactic Council Station," Veth said. "We are honored by your presence." Ambassador Hannah shook his hand with a warm smile. "Thank you, Ambassador Veth. We are honored to be here." Veth's eyes moved to the guards behind her. The woman, Yuna, stood to Hannah's left. She was not tall, but there was something about her stillness that made Veth uncomfortable. The younger man, Minho, smiled at him in a friendly way. It should have been reassuring. It was not. "I notice," Veth said carefully, "that your guards carry no weapons." "That is correct," Hana replied. "Is this a human custom? A sign of trust, perhaps?" Hana's smile did not change. "They do not need weapons, Ambassador." Veth laughed nervously, certain it was a joke. The humans did not laugh with him. The delegation moved through the station toward their assigned quarters. Other species stopped to watch them pass. Whispers followed them like shadows. The Keth ambassador counted the guards and shook his head in disbelief. A group of Vorn soldiers laughed openly at the unarmed humans. Junho heard the laughter. He did not react. His eyes continued their endless scanning, cataloging threats that the aliens did not even know they were making. Behind him, Yuna noted the position of every security camera. Minho memorized the faces of everyone who watched him too closely in the observation deck. Brel turned away from the window. "I want everything we have on human combat capabilities," he said to Kira. "Military records, historical data, biological analysis, everything. You are concerned." "High Counselor?" Brel paused at the door. "A species does not survive on a death world by being weak. And no ambassador would walk into this station without protection unless they believed they already had it." He looked back at the screen showing the human delegation. "Those guards are not unprotected. We simply do not understand what their protection is." That night, the human delegation settled into their quarters. Ambassador Hana reviewed her notes for tomorrow's meetings. In the next room, the three guards sat together in comfortable silence. "They scanned us 9 times, Minho said with a grin. "I think we made them nervous." "Good," Junho replied. He was cleaning his nails with a small wooden stick, the only item he carried that was even close to a tool. "Nervous people make mistakes. Mistakes tell us things." Yuna stood by the window, watching the stars. "The Vorn soldiers on level 3 are planning something. Their patrol patterns changed when we arrived." "I noticed," Junho said. "We will watch them, and if they try something—" Junho looked up. His face was calm, almost peaceful, but his eyes held something old and patient, like a predator waiting in tall grass. "Then we will teach them why humans do not need weapons." Across the station, High Counselor Brel sat alone in his office, reading the first reports about human history. What he found there kept him awake until morning. And for the first time in his long political career, he felt something he had not felt in decades: fear. 3 days passed on the Galactic Council Station. 3 days of meetings, arguments, and growing tension. The humans had surprised everyone. They did not come to the council begging for membership like other young species. They came demanding equality. High Counselor Brel sat in his private chamber while Kira presented her findings. The holographic display showed images of Earth, a blue and green world that looked peaceful from space. It was not peaceful. Humans evolved as persistence hunters, Kira explained. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled slightly. They cannot run as fast as their prey. They have no claws to catch it, no fangs to kill it. So they simply follow it. For hours. For days. They walk and run until their prey collapses from exhaustion. Then they kill it with rocks and sticks. Brel stared at the images of ancient humans chasing animals across vast plains. They tire out their prey? Yes, their bodies are designed for endurance. They can regulate their temperature through sweating, something most species cannot do. They can run for entire days without stopping. Kira changed the display. But that is not the most disturbing part. The screen showed human medical records. Wounds that would kill any council species. Burns, broken bones, deep cuts. And next to each wound, the same notation: patient survived. Patient recovered. They heal, Kira said. Injuries that would end the life of a Vorn or Kath simply heal. Their bones grow back stronger after breaking. Their skin forms protective tissue over wounds. They have survived falls, drownings, poisonings, and animal attacks that should have killed them. Delegate Tarn stood in the corner, his arms crossed. Endurance and healing mean nothing against plasma weapons. One shot from a rifle would end any human, would it? Kira asked quietly. She showed another file. Human soldiers have been documented fighting after losing limbs, after being shot multiple times. Their bodies produce chemicals during stress that block pain and increase strength. They call it adrenaline. Tarn said nothing, but his scales had turned a paler shade of gray. Brel waved his hand. Continue monitoring them. I want to know everything they do." While the council leaders worried, the human guards went about their duties. Yuna walked beside Ambassador Hana during a reception in the Grand Hall. Hundreds of aliens filled the space, talking, negotiating, scheming. Yuna's eyes never stopped moving. She noticed small things. A maintenance worker who cleaned the same spot 3 times. A server who watched the human delegation too carefully. 2 Vorn soldiers who changed their positions whenever Hannah moved. She touched her ear, activating a small communication device. "Junho, we have watchers." "I see them," came the quiet reply. Minho is tracking the ones on the lower level. Something is being planned. Ambassador Veth approached Hana with a drink in his clawed hand. He had been assigned to guide the humans through the station, and he took his duty seriously. He also could not stop thinking about the guards. "Ambassador Hana," he said, "may I ask you something personal?" "Of course, Ambassador Veth." He lowered his voice. "Your guards truly carry no weapons. I have watched them for 3 days. No hidden blades. No chemical sprays. Nothing. Are you not afraid?" Hannah took a small sip of her drink. "Afraid of what?" "There are species here who do not want humans in the council. Some of them are dangerous. Some of them are violent. And your guards have nothing to protect you with." Hannah looked at Veth with calm eyes. "Ambassador, may I tell you something about humans?" "Please." "On our world, we have a saying, 'The most dangerous weapon is the one you do not see.'" She smiled gently. "My guards do not need weapons because they are not guards in the way you understand. They are something else entirely." Veth wanted to ask more, but Hannah was already moving toward another group of diplomats. He stood alone with his drink, feeling more confused than before. That night, Minho walked through the lower levels of the station. He moved like a shadow, quiet and unnoticed. The service corridors were darker here, filled with pipes and machinery. Workers moved past him without a second glance. He looked like someone who belonged. He found what he was looking for in a storage room near the waste processing center. 3 aliens huddled around a small table, speaking in harsh whispers. Minho pressed himself against a wall and listened. "The human ambassador speaks tomorrow," one of them said. "During the Grand Assembly. All the council will be there. And the guards? Unarmed. We have confirmed it. They carry nothing." Cool laughter filled the small room. "Then it will be easy. We strike during her speech. 6 of us, fully armed. We kill the ambassador and escape before their useless guards can do anything." Minho had heard enough. He slipped away as quietly as he had come. An hour later, he sat with Junho and Yuna in their quarters. The room was dark, except for a small light on the table. 6 attackers, Minho reported. They will move during the assembly. Professional equipment, probably military grade. They plan to kill Ambassador Hana and escape in the confusion. Yuna's face was hard. "We should report this to station security." "No," Junho said. His voice was soft but certain. "Station security has been compromised. Some of the watchers wear their uniforms. Then what do we do?" Junho looked at his hands. They were ordinary hands. No claws, no weapons, no armor. Just flesh and bone. But those hands had ended many lives. They had protected many more. "We do nothing different," he said. "Tomorrow, we stand beside our ambassador as we always do. We let them come. And when they attack?" Junho raised his eyes. In the dim light, they seemed to glow with something ancient and terrible. "Then we remind the galaxy what humans are capable of." Yuna nodded slowly. Minho's friendly smile had disappeared, replaced by something cold and patient. In her room, Ambassador Hana prepared her speech for tomorrow. She knew about the threat. Her guards had told her everything. She was not afraid. She had seen what her guards could do. Tomorrow, the Galactic Council would see it too. The Grand Assembly Hall was the heart of the Galactic Council Station. It was a massive circular room with seats rising in tiers around the central platform. Every species had their place here. Every voice could be heard. Today, all 47 species had gathered to hear the humans speak. Ambassador Hannah walked to the central podium. She wore a simple dark suit, her hair pulled back, her face calm. Behind her, arranged in a loose triangle, stood Junho, Yuna, and Minho. They wore their gray uniforms. Their hands hung empty at their sides. High, Counselor Brell watched from his elevated seat. Beside him, Delegate Ton kept his eyes on the human guards. He still did not understand them. 3 soft creatures in a room full of armed soldiers and armored diplomats. It was madness. Ambassador Hannah began her speech. "Distinguished members of the council," she said, her voice clear and strong. "Humanity comes to you not as beggars seeking shelter, but as equals seeking partnership. We have survived our world. We have reached the stars. We have earned our place among you." The words were bold. Some council members shifted uncomfortably. Others nodded with respect. The Vorn delegation whispered among themselves, clearly unhappy. Hannah continued speaking about trade agreements, cultural exchange, mutual defense. Her words were careful and diplomatic. But underneath them was steel. Junho stood perfectly still. His eyes moved across the crowd in a pattern he had learned decades ago. Check the exits. Check the elevated positions. Check the hands of everyone within striking distance. His body was relaxed, but every muscle was ready. He saw them before they moved. 6 figures in the crowd. They wore maintenance uniforms, but they moved raw. Their shoulders were too tense. Their hands kept touching their waists. And they were slowly, carefully, positioning themselves around the human delegation. Junho did not signal his team. He did not need to. Yuna had seen them too. So had Minho. The first attacker made his move. He pulled a plasma pistol from under his uniform and fired at Ambassador Hannah. The blue bolt of energy screamed through the air. Toward her head. It never arrived. Junho moved. To the aliens watching, he seemed to blur. One moment he was standing beside the podium. The next moment he was between the ambassador and the plasma bolt. He did not try to block it. He simply pushed Hannah aside and let the bolt pass through empty space. Then he was on the attacker. The alien was a Vorn, tall and strong, covered in scales. He had fought in wars. He had killed dozens of enemies. None of that mattered now. Junho's hand closed around the Vorn's throat. Not with anger. Not with hatred. With precision. He pressed 2 fingers into the soft spot below the jaw, and the Vorn's body went limp. The plasma pistol fell from nerveless fingers. The whole thing took less than 2 seconds. The other attackers opened fire. Yuna was already moving. She ran toward the 2 attackers on the left side, using the chaos as cover. Aliens screamed and dove for cover. Security guards struggled to pull their weapons. But Yuna was faster than all of them. The first attacker turned to shoot her. She was not there. She had dropped low, sliding under his aim, and her hand shot up to strike his elbow. The joint bent the wrong way with a wet crack. The alien screamed and dropped his weapon. Yuna caught the weapon before it hit the ground, used it to block a shot from the second attacker, then threw it aside and closed the distance. She did not need the weapon. Her palm struck the second attacker's chest, right over his heart. The alien's eyes went wide. His body seized. He fell. Minho handled the remaining 3. The friendly smile was gone from his face. What remained was something cold and efficient. He moved through the attackers like water through stones. The first one swung a blade at him. Minho stepped inside the swing, caught the arm, and redirected the blade into the second attacker's leg. While they tangled together, He spun and drove his elbow into the third attacker's face. Bone crunched. The alien dropped. The one with the blade tried to recover. Minho took the weapon from his hand with a twist that dislocated the wrist. Then he struck twice, fast as lightning, and the last two attackers fell. 12 seconds. The entire attack lasted 12 seconds. The Grand Assembly Hall was silent. Hundreds of aliens stared at the scene before them. 6 attackers lay on the ground. Some unconscious. Some groaning in pain. All defeated, and the 3 human guards stood among them, not even breathing hard. Ambassador Hana had not moved from her podium. She looked down at the fallen attackers, then back at the stunned council. As I was saying, she continued calmly, humanity believes in peaceful cooperation. No one laughed. No one spoke. The silence stretched on and on. High Councilor Brell rose slowly from his seat. His wings trembled. His voice, when he found it, was barely a whisper. What? What are you? Junho turned to face him. His hands were empty. They had always been empty. There was no blood on them, no weapon, nothing. Just flesh and bone. Just human. We are diplomatic guards, Junho said simply. We protect our ambassador. Tarn stood beside Burrell, his gray scales now almost white. He had seen warriors before. He had fought in wars. He had never seen anything like this. They had weapons, Tarn said. You had nothing. How is this possible? Junho considered the question. Around him, station security finally arrived to collect the groaning attackers. Yuna and Minho returned to their positions behind Ambassador Hana as if nothing had happened. We did not need weapons, Junho said. Weapons are tools. Tools can be taken away, broken, lost. But we cannot lose what we are. He held up his empty hands. Humans learned long ago that the body is the only weapon you always have. So we made our bodies into the only weapons we need. The security teams dragged the attackers away. Medical staff rushed to treat the injured. The council members remained frozen in their seats, staring at the humans with new eyes. They had called humans weak. They had laughed at the unarmed guards. They had thought the humans were naive or foolish. Now they knew the truth, and the truth terrified them. The summit was suspended. For 2 days, the Grand Assembly Hall remained empty while the council held emergency meetings. They had questions, many questions, and they demanded answers. High Councilor Brell called a closed session with only the highest-ranking members. Kira stood at the front of the room with her holographic display. The images she showed were not easy to look at. Human history, she began, is a history of violence. The display showed ancient battles. Humans fighting with stones and sticks. Humans fighting with swords and arrows. Humans fighting with guns and bombs. City after city in flames. Field after field covered with bodies. They have fought each other constantly, Kira continued. For land, for resources, for beliefs, for power. Sometimes for no reason at all. In the last 1,000 years of their history, there were only a handful of days without a war happening somewhere on their planet. Delegate Tarn shifted uncomfortably. Many species have wars. Not like this. Kira changed the display. Most species develop natural weapons for hunting. Claws, fangs, venom. Humans have none of these. So they created weapons instead. And then they created better weapons. And better. And better. They split the atom and created bombs that could destroy entire cities in a single flash. The council members stared at the images of nuclear explosions. The fire, the mushroom clouds, the devastation. They did this to themselves, Kira said quietly. To their own kind. Bro leaned forward. Then why do their guards carry no weapons? If they are so violent, why come to us unarmed? That is what I asked Ambassador Hana. She agreed to explain. Kira stepped aside. I invited her to address this session directly. The doors opened and Ambassador Hana entered with her 3 guards. They walked to the center of the room and stopped. The council members watched them with fear in their eyes. Hana looked around the room calmly. You want to understand why we carry no weapons? Yes, Brel said. After what we saw in the assembly, we need to understand. Hana nodded. Then I will tell you a truth about humans. We are the most dangerous species we have ever encountered. Not because we are strong or fast or have special powers. We are dangerous because we never stop. We never give up. We can take more pain, more damage, more loss than any creature we have ever met. And we keep fighting. She paused to let this sink in. Our guards could carry weapons. They are trained with every weapon humans have ever created. Guns, blades, explosives, poisons. They could walk into this station armed with enough firepower to kill everyone here. Her voice was soft but certain. But they choose not to. Tarn spoke up. Why? Hana looked at Junho. He stepped forward and faced the council. I was a soldier, Junho said. 20 years ago, I fought in a war on Earth. I carried weapons. I used them. I was very good at it. His face showed no pride in this. Only old pain. With weapons, killing is easy. You point, you press a trigger, and life ends. You can do it from far away. You never have to touch the person you kill. You never have to feel their life leave their body. He held up his empty hands. I swore I would never use a weapon again. Not because I could not, but because I could too easily. When I kill now, I must be close. I must use my own hands. I must feel everything. This makes me think carefully about every choice. It makes me certain that there is no other way. Yuna spoke next. I was raised in a tradition that teaches defense, not attack. My family trained for 10 generations to protect others without becoming killers. We believe that true strength is not the power to destroy. It is the power to stop destruction without adding more. Minho smiled, but it was a sad smile. I grew up with nothing. No family, no home, no weapons. I learned to survive with just my body and my mind. I learned that weapons are crutches. They make you dependent. They make you weak. The body never fails you. The mind never runs out of ammunition. Ambassador Hana stepped forward again. This is why we carry no weapons. We know what we are capable of. We have seen what happens when humans use their full power. We destroyed cities. We poisoned our air and water. We came close to ending ourselves. She met Brel's eyes. We choose to limit ourselves. We choose to make violence difficult. Because if we made it easy, we might never stop. The room was silent for a long moment. Brel spoke slowly. You restrain yourselves because you are afraid of your own nature? Yes, Hana said simply. We are afraid of what we could become. So we built rules, ethics, traditions that hold back our worst impulses. Our guards carry no weapons because the weapons they need are already inside them. And those weapons have no safety switch. The only safety is their own will, their own choice, their own humanity. Tarn stared at Junho with new understanding. The assembly. You could have killed those attackers. Yes, but you did not. They did not deserve death. They were foolish and misguided, but their lives still had value. So I stopped them without killing them. Junho's eyes were steady. That is the difference between a warrior and a weapon. A weapon destroys whatever it is pointed at. A warrior chooses what to destroy and what to spare. Brel sat back in his chair. He had lived for over 200 years. He had seen countless species, countless cultures, countless wars. But he had never encountered anything like humans, a species so dangerous that they feared themselves. A species so powerful that their greatest achievement was learning restraint. A species that could destroy worlds, but chose instead to build rules that held them back. It was terrifying. And strangely beautiful. I have one more question, Brawl said quietly. What happens if your restraint fails? What happens if humans decide to stop holding back? Junho looked at him for a long moment. Then he answered, Then you will understand why we built that restraint in the first place. The room remained silent. No one had anything else to say. 1 week after the assembly incident, the Galactic Council gathered for its final vote. The Grand Assembly Hall was full again, but the mood was different now. There was no laughter at the human delegation, no whispers about their unarmed guards. Only silence and careful respect. Ambassador Hana stood at the central podium for the second time. Junho, Yuna, and Minho stood behind her in their usual positions. The council members watched them with nervous eyes. Delegate Tarn rose to speak first. This surprised everyone. He had been the loudest voice against human membership just 1 week ago. I have fought in 12 wars, Tarn said. His voice was heavy with something that might have been shame. I have faced enemies with weapons that could melt steel and technology that could crack planets. I was never afraid. He paused and looked at the human guards. Last week, I watched 3 unarmed humans defeat 6 armed attackers in 12 seconds. And for the first time in my life, I knew fear. The hall was completely silent. But I also learned something. Tarn continued. Those humans could have killed the attackers. They chose not to. They had every right to end those lives, and they showed mercy instead. They straightened his scales. Any species that powerful, that dangerous, and that merciful deserves a place among us. I vote yes for human membership. The vote passed. 43 species voted yes. Only 4 voted no. Humanity was now an equal member of the Galactic Council. Ambassador Hana thanked the council with gracious words. The delegation accepted congratulations from dozens of representatives. The formal ceremony ended, and the crowd slowly left the hall. But High Counselor Brell did not leave. He waited until the hall was nearly empty, then approached the human delegation. Ambassador Hana, may I speak with you privately? Hana nodded. Of course, High Counselor. They moved to a small meeting room off the main hall. Brell closed the door and turned to face the humans. His wings folded tight against his back. I have spent this week gathering intelligence, Brell said. I contacted every source, every spy, every information network I could reach. I needed to know more about humans. And what did you find? Hana asked calmly. Brell was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke the words that had kept him awake for 3 nights. I found that your guards are not special. Hana raised an eyebrow. Excuse me? On Earth, they would be considered ordinary, standard security personnel. Competent but unremarkable. Brell's voice shook slightly. They are not your elite warriors. They are not your special forces. They are just average. The room went very still. Junho, Yuna, and Minho exchanged glances. Small smiles crossed their faces. Not proud smiles. Almost embarrassed. That is correct, Hana said. They are standard diplomatic protection. Well-trained, experienced, professional. But by human standards, they are not exceptional. Brell felt his hearts pounding. Both of them. Then your exceptional ones. Your elites. What are they capable of? Hana considered the question carefully. High Counselor, there are humans who have trained since childhood for combat. Humans who can kill in ways that leave no marks on the body. Humans who have spent decades learning to move through any environment, defeat any opponent, and survive any situation. Those humans exist. They serve my government in various capacities. Have I met any of them? No. Will I ever meet them? Hana's expression did not change. Her voice remained gentle and diplomatic. But something in her eyes shifted. "I hope not," she said. "Because if you do, something has gone very, very wrong." Brel stood perfectly still. The full weight of what he had learned pressed down on him. The humans he had watched defeat 6 armed attackers with bare hands were average. The real warriors, the elite fighters, were something beyond his imagination. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked. "Because you need to understand," Hana said. "Humanity does not want war with the Council. We do not want conflict. We want trade, cooperation, friendship. But we need you to understand that threatening us would be unwise. Not because we would destroy you in anger, but because we would destroy you efficiently, completely, and without hesitation if we had no other choice." She stepped closer to Brel. "We carry no weapons because weapons can be taken away. We send average guards because even our average is enough. And we show you mercy because we want to be your friends, not your conquerors." Her voice softened. "Please understand this, High Counselor. We are offering you our open hand. Do not make us close it into a fist." Brel nodded slowly. He understood. He finally understood. 2 days later, a classified briefing was sent to every species in the Galactic Council. It was marked with the highest security clearance. It contained everything Kira had learned about human capabilities, human history, and human potential. The last page of the briefing was a simple threat assessment. It had only one recommendation, printed in large letters: "Do not engage under any circumstances." Below that, someone had added a handwritten note: "If the human guards are unarmed, be afraid. If they are armed, run." The briefing became the most read classified document in Council history. Meanwhile, in the station's cafeteria, 3 humans sat together at a small table. Junho ate soup. Yuna reviewed her notes on a small screen. Minho told a joke about a fish and a spaceship. They laughed together, comfortable and relaxed around them. Other species ate their meals in silence. They watched the humans from the corners of their eyes. They kept their distance. They spoke in whispers that the humans did not seem to notice. Or perhaps they were just used to it. Perhaps they had always lived this way, surrounded by others who did not quite understand what they were. Minho finished his joke. Yuna rolled her eyes. Junho smiled and returned to his soup. They were just 3 people eating lunch. Just 3 ordinary humans far from home. And somehow, that was the most terrifying thing of all.